The massive space station called Nexus Prime floated in the darkness between three star systems. It was bigger than most cities on Earth. Ships from dozens of different worlds docked at its many ports. Beings of all shapes and sizes walked through its corridors. Today was special. Today was the start of the tri-annual combat championship. Han Mirai stood at the viewing window of her small quarters. She watched the alien ships arrive one by one. Some were sleek and silver like metal tiers. Others were dark and angular like flying weapons. A few looked like they grew from some giant tree rather than being built in a factory. Each ship brought warriors from distant worlds. Mirai was 28 years old. She had short black hair and calm dark eyes. Her body was lean and strong from years of training. She wore simple gray clothes that marked her as a competitor. On her shoulder was a small patch with the blue and white symbol of Earth. She was the only human in the tournament. A knock came at her door. Mirai turned away from the window. "Come in," she said. Captain Lee Dongmin entered the room. He was older than Mirai, with gray streaks in his black hair. His uniform was neat and proper. Behind him came Dr. Park Ji-won. She was a thin woman with large glasses who always carried a data pad. "How are you feeling?" Dongmin asked. "Ready," Mirai said simply. Ji-won looked up from her data pad. "I've been studying the other competitors. The odds are not good for you." "Tell me about them," Mirai said. She sat down on the small bed in her quarters. Ji-won touched her data pad. "The favorites are the Vorthak. They are large reptile-like beings. Their skin is thick like armor. They are very strong. The current champion is named Grakthor. He has won 15 fights without losing once." "What else?" Mirai asked. "The Zilani are also dangerous. They look like large insects with 4 arms. They move very fast. Their claws can cut through steel. Then there are the Kronak. They are hairy beasts with powerful muscles. They never seem to get tired." Dongmin sat down across from Mirai. "The other species think we are weak," he said. "They call us soft skins. They think our bones break too easily. They say we are too small and too slow." "Good," Mirai said. "Good." Ji-won looked confused. "Let them think that," Mirai said. "It will make things easier." The 3 humans made their way through the station toward the main arena. The corridors were crowded with aliens of every type. Some walked on 2 legs like humans. Others crawled on 4 or 6 or 8 legs. A few floated in the air using technology Mirai did not understand. Many of the aliens stared at Mirai as she passed. She heard them talking in their strange languages. She did not need to understand the words to know what they were saying. The looks on their faces told her everything. "First time seeing a human," Dongmin said quietly. "Most of them have never seen Earth species before," Ji-won added. "To them we are curiosities. Like strange animals from a distant zoo." They reached the main arena. It was huge. The fighting area was round and made of some kind of metal that could not be broken. Around it rose row after row of seats. There were thousands of aliens already watching. Their voices created a sound like ocean waves. In the center of the arena stood a tall alien with blue skin. Its head was shaped like a triangle. When it spoke, its voice was heard throughout the entire station. "Welcome, beings of all worlds, to the Triannual Combat Championship," the announcer said. "For 3 cycles we have gathered to see which species produces the finest warriors. Today we begin again," the crowd roared. Some aliens stamped their feet. Others made clicking sounds with their claws. A few released chemical scents that made the air shimmer. "This cycle we have a new species joining us," the announcer continued. "From the small world called Earth come the humans. They send 1 representative. A spotlight found Mirai in the stands. Thousands of alien eyes looked at her. She stood up slowly. She did not wave or smile. She just stood there calmly. The crowd made different sounds. Some laughed. It was a harsh sound like breaking glass. Others made noises that sounded like disgust. A few seemed curious. "Look how small it is," said a voice nearby. Mirai turned and saw a Vorthak warrior. It was twice her height and covered in green scales. Its yellow eyes looked at her like she was food. "Soft skin will not last 1 fight," said another alien. This one had gray fur and huge claws. "Why do they even allow such weak things to compete?" asked a third voice. Mirai sat back down. She did not react to their words. She had heard worse things during her training on Earth. "Does it bother you?" Dongmin asked quietly. "No," Mirai said. "Words do not hurt. Only actions matter," the announcer continued speaking. "The rules are simple. Each fighter represents their species. Defeat means your people are seen as weaker. Victory brings honor to your entire world. The fights will continue until only one warrior remains. More roaring from the crowd. Mirai watched the other competitors. She saw the massive Vorthak champions. She observed the quick movements of the Zilani fighters. She studied the Kronak berserkers as they beat their chests. They are impressive, Ji-won said nervously. They are big, Mirai agreed. But big is not everything. The first fights begin tomorrow, the announcer said. Rest well, warriors. Soon we will see who is truly strong. The crowd began to leave. Aliens pushed past each other to get to the exits. Mirai remained in her seat. She continued to watch the arena floor. What are you thinking about? Dongmin asked. Space, Mirai said. Distance, timing, how they move. How they think. Can you win? Ji-won asked. Mirai finally stood up. She looked at the empty arena one more time. I did not come here to lose, she said. As they walked back through the corridors, more aliens stared at Mirai. Some pointed at her. Others whispered to each other. A few actually laughed out loud. One large alien stepped in front of Mirai. It had rock-like skin and arms as thick as tree trunks. Human, it said in broken common language. You should go home now, before you get hurt. Mirai looked up at the alien calmly. Thank you for the advice, she said. Then she walked around it and continued down the corridor. The alien stood there confused. It had expected fear or anger. Instead, it got politeness. Tomorrow will be interesting, Dongmin said when they reached Mirai's quarters. Yes, Mirai agreed. It will be. She looked out the window again at the stars. Somewhere out there was Earth. Somewhere out there were people counting on her to prove that humans belonged among the stars. She would not disappoint them. The tournament would begin soon, and the galaxy would learn what humans could really do. The next morning came quickly on Nexus Prime. The station never truly slept. Aliens from different worlds kept different time cycles. Some were active when others rested. The corridors always had movement and sound. Mirai woke before her alarm. She had trained her body to wake at the right time without help. This was a skill from her military days on Earth. She did her morning exercises in the small space of her quarters. Push-ups, stretches, breathing control. Her body needed to be ready. Dongmin arrived with breakfast. It was simple food from Earth that they had brought with them. Most alien food would make humans sick. How did you sleep? He asked. Well enough, Mirai said. She ate slowly and calmly. Ji-won burst through the door with her datapad in hand. I have bad news, she said. The betting odds are terrible. Most aliens are betting against you lasting more than 2 minutes in your first fight. 2 minutes? Dongmin asked. Some are betting on 30 seconds, Ji-won said. The official alien news feeds are calling you the weakest competitor in tournament history. Mirai continued eating. What do they say exactly? Ji-won read from her datapad. The Vorthak news calls you a soft pink thing that will break like a twig. The Zilani feeds say humans are slow and clumsy. The Kronak reports wonder why such a weak species was even allowed to join the tournament. Anything else? Mirai asked. The betting favorite to eliminate you is your first opponent, a Kronak named Brug. He has won 12 fights. He is known for ending matches quickly. Mirai finished her meal. Tell me about Brug. He is large even for a Kronak. Thick gray fur covers his body. His arms are longer than his legs. He uses his size to grab opponents and crush them. Most fighters cannot break free from his grip. How does he move? Mirai asked. Slowly but with great power. He does not need to be fast. He just needs to catch his opponent once. They made their way to the arena. The corridors were even more crowded than yesterday. Word had spread about the human fighter. Many aliens had come just to watch her lose quickly. Human, called out voices as they passed. Some aliens pointed and laughed. Others made mocking gestures. A few tried to take pictures with strange devices. One group of young Zilani blocked their path. They were smaller than the adult fighters, but still taller than Mirai. Their insect-like faces showed amusement. Are you really going to fight Brug? One asked in buzzing voice. Yes, Mirai said simply. He will crush you like a bug, another said. The group laughed at this joke. Maybe, Mirai said. We will see. The Zilani looked confused by her calm response. They had expected fear or anger. Instead, they got acceptance. They moved aside and let the humans pass. The arena was packed. Every seat was filled. More aliens stood in the walkways. The noise was incredible. Thousands of voices talking in dozens of languages created a wall of sound. In the preparation area, Mirai saw the other fighters getting ready. The Vorthak warriors were doing strength exercises. They lifted weights that would crush a human. The Zilani practiced their quick movements. They moved so fast they looked like blurs. The Kronak fighters just sat quietly and stared ahead with their small dark eyes. "There she is," said a loud voice. Mirai turned and saw Grakthor, the Vorthak champion. He was enormous even by Vorthak standards. His green scales looked like armor plates. His yellow eyes glowed with confidence. "The famous human," Grakthor continued. "I am almost disappointed I will not get to fight you. Brug will finish you too quickly." Other fighters gathered around. They wanted to see the human up close. Some had never seen a being so small try to fight in the arena. "Look at those thin arms," said a Zilani. "How can they even lift a weapon?" "And those tiny teeth," added a Kronak. "What kind of predator has such weak teeth?" "Maybe it fights with its mind," joked another alien. The group laughed loudly. Mirai stood in the center of their circle. She looked at each alien calmly. She did not speak or react to their words. After a moment, she turned and walked away to find a quiet corner. "Strange creature," one alien said behind her. "Very strange," agreed another. The announcement came for the first fight. Competitors Mirai of Earth and Brug of Kronak Prime enter the arena. The crowd roared as Brug walked into the fighting circle. He was massive. His gray fur was thick and coarse. His arms hung down almost to his knees. When he beat his chest, the sound echoed through the entire arena. Then Mirai entered. The contrast was shocking. She looked like a child next to the Kronak warrior. The crowd's noise grew even louder. Many aliens were laughing and pointing. "Look at the size difference," the announcer called out. "Brug weighs 4 times more than the human. His reach is twice as long. This should be over quickly." Brug stared down at Mirai. "I will try to make this fast, little human," he said in a deep, rumbling voice. "I do not enjoy hurting helpless things." "Thank you for your concern," Mirai replied politely. This response surprised Brug. He had expected pleading or threats. Instead, he got courtesy. The fight began. Brug charged forward with his massive arms spread wide. He planned to grab Mirai and end the match quickly. The crowd held its breath waiting for the capture. But Mirai was not there when Brug's arms closed. She had stepped aside at the last moment. Brug stumbled forward, confused by the miss. "Fast for a human," Brug admitted. "But you cannot run forever." He charged again. Again, Mirai moved away just in time. Brug's powerful grab found only empty air. The crowd grew quieter. This was not going as expected. Brug was supposed to catch the human immediately. Brug tried a different approach. He moved more slowly and carefully. He tried to corner Mirai against the arena wall. His strategy was good. Limit her movement and force the grab. But as Brug reached for her, Mirai dropped low and swept her leg behind his ankle. At the same time, she pushed against his knee with her hands. Brug's own momentum carried him forward. His balance broke and he crashed face first into the arena floor. The crowd went silent. Brug pushed himself up, shaking his head. Fur and dust covered his face. He looked embarrassed and angry. "Lucky move, human. It will not happen again." But it did happen again. Every time Brug charged, Mirai used his size and speed against him. She was like water flowing around a rock. When he went left, she went right. When he pushed, she pulled. When he expected resistance, she gave him emptiness. After 10 minutes, Brug was breathing hard. Sweat matted his fur. He had not even touched the human once. "Impossible," whispered an alien in the crowd. "How is she doing this?" asked another. Mirai waited calmly in the center of the arena. She was not even breathing hard. She watched Brug with patient eyes. Brug made one final charge. He put all his remaining strength into this attack. His roar shook the arena walls. Mirai stepped forward this time instead of away. She grabbed Brug's wrist as he reached for her. Using his own momentum and her precise timing, she threw him over her shoulder. The massive Kronak flew through the air and landed hard on his back. He did not get up. The arena was completely silent. Thousands of aliens stared in shock. The small human stood over the defeated Kronak warrior. "Winner, Mirai of Earth," the announcer said quietly. The crowd exploded. Some aliens cheered in surprise. Others booed in anger. Many just sat in stunned silence. Mirai helped Brug to his feet. "You fought well," she told him. Brug looked at her with new respect. "I underestimated you, human. That was my mistake." As Mirai left the arena, she heard aliens talking excitedly. Some said she was lucky. Others wondered if she had cheated somehow. A few began to think that maybe humans were not as weak as they appeared. But most still believed it was just luck. After all, how could such a small, soft creature really be dangerous? They would learn the truth soon enough. 3 days had passed since Mirai's victory over Brugge. The news of her win had spread throughout Nexus Prime. Aliens who had missed the fight watched recordings over and over. They could not believe what they saw. Mirai sat in her quarters reading reports that G1 had gathered. The alien news feeds were full of theories about her victory. Some claimed Brugge had been sick. Others said the arena floor had been slippery. A few suggested that humans had secret technology that made them stronger. None of them want to admit the truth, Dongmin said. He was reading the reports too. What truth? Mirai asked. That you won because you are simply better, he replied. Jiwan looked up from her data pad. Your second opponent has been announced. A Zilani warrior named Click. She is known for her speed and cutting claws. Tell me about her fighting style, Mirai said. She moves very fast in circles around her opponents. She makes small cuts with her claws. She does not try to end fights quickly. Instead, she lets her opponents bleed and tire themselves out. How many fights has she won? 8 wins, no losses. She is considered one of the rising stars of Zilani combat. That afternoon, Mirai went to watch other fights in the tournament. She wanted to study her future opponents. The arena was still crowded, but the mood was different now. More aliens watched her as she moved through the stands. Some looked curious. Others seemed worried. A few appeared angry. There is the human, whispered voices as she passed. Smaller than I expected, said others. How did such a weak thing defeat Brugge? Mirai found a seat near the front. She watched a fight between 2 Vorthak warriors. They were both huge and covered in thick scales. They fought by ramming into each other like living tanks. The sound of their collisions echoed through the arena. Impressive strength, said a voice beside her. Mirai turned and saw an alien she did not recognize. It had smooth silver skin and large black eyes. Its body was tall and thin like a reed. Yes, Mirai agreed. Very strong. I am Whisper of the Deep Current, the alien said. My people are called the Nethys. We do not fight in tournaments. We prefer to watch and learn. I am Mirai, she replied. I know who you are. Everyone on this station knows who you are now. You have caused quite a disturbance. I have only fought 1 match. Yes, but you won it in a way that no one expected. You did not overpower your opponent. You did not cut him or burn him or poison him. You used his own strength against him. Mirai nodded. That seemed like the best approach. Whisper's large eyes studied her carefully. Most species fight by trying to be stronger or faster or more deadly than their opponents. You fight by being smarter. This is unusual. Is it wrong? Mirai asked. Not wrong. Just different. And different things make people uncomfortable. Over the next 2 days, Mirai watched more fights and more fighters. She saw the patterns in how each species approached combat. The Vorthak relied on brute force. The Zilani used speed and sharp weapons. The Kronak depended on their ability to endure damage. Other species had their own methods, but they all had one thing in common. They tried to impose their natural strengths on their opponents. The day of her second fight arrived. The arena was even more crowded than before. Word had spread to other parts of the station. Even aliens who normally did not care about the tournament had come to watch. Click entered the arena first. She was typical for a Zilani. Her body looked like a large insect walking upright. Forearms ended in razor-sharp claws. Her movements were quick and nervous. She never stood still. The Zilani fighter has speed and cutting power, the announcer said. Can the human's luck hold against such a dangerous opponent? When Mirai entered, the crowd made mixed sounds. Some cheered. Others booed. Many just watched in silence to see what would happen. Click studied Mirai with her compound eyes. I watched your fight against the Kronak, she said in a buzzing voice. You will not catch me with the same tricks. I did not plan to, Mirai replied calmly. The fight began. Click immediately started moving in a circle around Mirai. Her forearms waved in complex patterns. Her claws gleamed under the arena lights. She darted in quickly, made a shallow cut on Mirai's arm, then retreated before any response was possible. The crowd cheered. First blood to the Zilani. Click repeated this tactic. Quick approach, small cut, fast retreat. It was like being attacked by a deadly dancer. After several attacks, Mirai had multiple small wounds on her arms and shoulders. The human is bleeding. called out an alien in the crowd. Click is too fast for her, said another. But Mireille was not trying to catch Click. She was studying her. Each attack showed her something new about the Zilani's patterns. The way she moved, the timing of her strikes, the rhythm of her attacks. Click grew more confident. She began making deeper cuts. She started staying close longer before retreating. This was exactly what Mireille was waiting for. When Click made her next attack, Mireille was ready. Instead of trying to grab the fast-moving Zilani, she simply stepped aside and stuck out her foot. Click was moving so fast that she could not change direction. She tripped and tumbled across the arena floor. Before Click could recover, Mireille was on top of her. But instead of trying to hurt the Zilani, she grabbed two of Click's forearms and held them firmly. "Let go," Click buzzed angrily. She tried to cut Mireille with her free claws, but Mireille had positioned herself so that Click could not reach her without hurting herself. "You can surrender," Mireille said calmly. "Never." Click struggled harder, but the harder she fought, the more she tired herself out. Her fast movements required a lot of energy. After 5 minutes of struggling, she was breathing heavily. "Surrender," Mireille said again. I yield," Click gasped. The crowd was silent again. Another impossible victory for the human. This time there could be no talk of luck. Mireille had clearly outthought her opponent. As the fights continued over the following days, Mireille kept winning. She defeated a Kronak berserker by letting him exhaust himself attacking empty air. She beat a Vorthak warrior by using the arena walls to redirect his charges. She overcame a tentacled Aquari by staying just out of reach until it became dizzy from its own spinning movements. Each victory was different. Each showed a new aspect of human combat thinking. The other fighters began to study recordings of her matches. They tried to understand her methods, but understanding and defeating were two different things. "She fights like water," complained one fighter. "How do you grab water?" asked another. "How do you cut something that is not there when you strike?" wondered a third. The alien crowds grew more restless with each human victory. What had started as amusement was becoming concern. Some aliens began to wonder if they had been wrong about human weakness. "Maybe their small size is an advantage," suggested one commentator. "Perhaps their soft skin makes them faster," theorized another. "Could it be that thinking is more important than strength?" asked a third. These were dangerous questions for species that had always relied on their natural physical gifts. After her 6th victory, Mireille had advanced to the final 8 competitors. Only the strongest fighters from each major species remained. The stakes were getting higher. The matches were getting harder, but more importantly, the alien audiences were getting angrier. "This cannot continue," growled Grakthor, the Vorthak champion. "A soft skin cannot be allowed to defeat true warriors." "Something must be done," agreed Severclaw, the top Zilani fighter. "The tournament has rules," pointed out another competitor. "Rules can be changed," Grakthor said darkly. In her quarters, Mireille cleaned her small wounds and prepared for the next day. She could feel the mood changing on the station. The aliens were no longer just dismissing her. They were starting to see her as a threat. "Are you worried?" Dongmin asked. "About the fights?" "No," Mireille replied. "About what happens outside the fights." "Maybe. What do you mean?" "They expected me to lose quickly and disappear. Now they are realizing I might actually win this tournament. That scares them more than they want to admit." Jiwon looked up from her datapad. "The betting odds have changed completely. You are now favored to reach the finals. That will make some aliens very unhappy," Mireille said. She was right. Change was coming to Nexus Prime, and not everyone would welcome it. The atmosphere on Nexus Prime had changed completely. What started as casual entertainment had become something much more serious. Aliens walked through the corridors in groups, talking in low voices. The conversations always seemed to stop when humans passed by. Mireille noticed the change immediately. Eyes followed her everywhere she went. Some looks were curious, others were hostile. A few seemed almost fearful. "The tournament officials want to meet with you," Dongmin said as he entered her quarters. His expression was serious. "About what?" Mireille asked. "They did not say. But they requested that you come alone." Jiwon looked worried. "That does not sound good. Officials usually only meet with fighters when there are problems." Mireille put on her formal Earth uniform. If this was going to be an official meeting, she would represent her species properly. "I will handle whatever this is about." The meeting was held in a large room near the arena. 3 alien officials sat behind a curved desk. One was a Vorthak with dark green scales. Another was a tall Zelani with silver markings. The third was from a species Mirai did not recognize. It had pale blue skin and too many fingers. Mirai of Earth, the Vorthak official said. Please sit. Mirai sat in the chair across from them. She kept her posture straight and her expression calm. There have been concerns about your fighting methods, the Zelani official buzzed. What kind of concerns? Mirai asked. Some competitors believe you are using unfair advantages, the blue-skinned alien said in a whispery voice. What advantages? Hidden technology, chemical enhancement, genetic modification. The methods you use seem beyond the natural capabilities of your species. Mirai almost smiled. You want to test me for cheating because I win my fights? You defeat opponents who are clearly stronger and faster than you, the Vorthak said. This suggests artificial assistance. Or it suggests that strength and speed are not the only important things in combat. The 3 officials looked at each other. This was not the response they had expected. We are ordering complete medical scans, the Zelani announced. Any foreign substances or devices in your body will be detected. I agree to the scans, Mirai said immediately. Again, the officials exchanged glances. They had hoped she would refuse, giving them a reason to disqualify her. The medical tests took 3 hours. Alien doctors used advanced scanning equipment to examine every part of Mirai's body. They found exactly what they expected to find: a normal human female with no enhancements, no hidden technology, and no artificial modifications. The results are clean, the head doctor reported. She is completely natural. The officials were not pleased with this news. If Mirai was not cheating, then she was winning through skill alone. This was a possibility they did not want to consider. While Mirai was being tested, something else was happening in the deeper levels of Nexus Prime. Representatives from the major alien species were holding their own meeting. Grakthor paced back and forth in the hidden conference room. The scans will show nothing. She is not using technology to cheat. Then how is she winning? Demanded Seaver Claw, the Zelani champion. She thinks differently than we do, admitted Throck, a Kronak leader. She uses strategy instead of strength. Strategy is not supposed to beat natural superiority, growled another Vorthak. An old Nethys observer spoke from the shadows. Perhaps your assumption about natural superiority is incorrect. Impossible, Grakthor snapped. We have been the dominant species in this galaxy for thousands of years. We did not become dominant by being weak. But you became dominant before humans existed in space, the Nethys pointed out. Now they are here, and one of them is defeating your best warriors. One lucky human in a tournament means nothing, Severclaw said. Does it? Asked the Nethys. What if she wins the entire tournament? What if she becomes champion? What message does that send to the galaxy? The room fell silent. They had not thought about the larger implications. It would suggest that humans are equal to us, Throck said slowly. Or superior, added another voice. That cannot be allowed to happen, Grakthor declared. The natural order must be preserved. What are you suggesting? Asked Severclaw. The tournament rules can be modified. They have been changed before for special circumstances. What kind of modifications? Multiple opponents, changed arena conditions, altered victory requirements. There are many possibilities. The conspirators spent hours planning. They could not simply disqualify Mirai without cause. The galaxy was watching, but they could make the remaining matches impossible for her to win. 2 days later, Mirai prepared for her semi-final match. According to the original tournament structure, she should face one opponent. The winner would advance to the championship fight. Dongmin brought disturbing news. The officials have announced a rule change. Your semi-final will be different. How different? Mirai asked. You will face 2 opponents at the same time. They say this is to make up for the time saved by your quick victories in earlier rounds. Jiwan looked up from her datapad. That is not fair. No other fighter has been required to face multiple opponents. Fairness was never the point, Mirai said calmly. Who are my opponents? Razor Fang, a Vorthak berserker, and Swift Death, a Zilani speedfighter. Both are among the most dangerous competitors remaining. Mirai nodded. They chose well. One slow and strong opponent. One fast and cutting opponent. Together they cover each other's weaknesses. Can you defeat both of them at once? Dongmin asked. I do not know, Mirai admitted. But I will try. News of the rule change spread quickly through Nexus Prime. Most aliens approved of the modification. It seemed fair to them that the unusual human should face an unusual challenge. But some aliens were disturbed by the obvious unfairness. Whisper, the Nethys observer, sought out the human delegation. This is wrong, Whisper said. The rules are being changed specifically to disadvantage your representative. We know, Dongmin replied. But what can we do? We agreed to follow tournament regulations. You could protest, demand fair treatment. And accomplish what? Mirai asked. They would simply find another excuse to eliminate me. At least this way I have a chance to fight. 2 against 1 is not a fair chance. Fair has nothing to do with this anymore, Mirai said. This is about proving that humans belong in the galaxy. If I can only do that by defeating 2 opponents at once, then that is what I will do. The night before the semi-final, Mirai sat alone in her quarters. She reviewed everything she knew about her 2 opponents. Razor Fang was a typical Vorthak berserker. He relied on overwhelming force and endurance. Swift Death was a master of Zilani combat arts. She was faster and more skilled than any Zilani Mirai had faced. Fighting one of them would be difficult. Fighting both together seemed impossible. But humans had a long history of doing impossible things. The day of the semi-final arrived. The arena was completely packed. Aliens had come from all over the station to watch. Many expected this to be the end of the humans' surprising run. Today we will see the limits of human capability, announced one commentator. 2 proven warriors against 1 small soft skin, said another. The outcome is obvious, but not everyone was certain. Mirai had surprised them too many times before. In the preparation area, Razor Fang and Swift Death met for the first time. They had been chosen specifically because their fighting styles would complement each other. The human will try to turn us against each other, Swift Death warned. We must coordinate our attacks. Agreed, Razor Fang rumbled. You attack from distance with your claws. I will prevent her escape with my charges. What if she tries to use our attacks against us like she did with other fighters? With 2 opponents, she cannot focus on both at once. While she deals with one threat, the other will strike. They were confident in their plan. 2 experienced warriors working together should easily defeat 1 human. But they had not studied human history carefully enough. Humans had been fighting multiple opponents for thousands of years. They had developed strategies and techniques that other species had never needed to learn. The semi-final was about to begin, and Mirai was ready to show the galaxy something new about human warfare. The conspiracy to stop her had only made her more determined to succeed. The arena had never been more crowded. Every seat was filled. Aliens stood in the walkways and pressed against the barriers. The noise was deafening. Thousands of voices created a wall of sound that vibrated through the station's metal walls. Mirai stood in the preparation area, calm and focused. She had spent the morning in meditation, centering her mind for what was to come. Fighting 2 opponents simultaneously would require perfect awareness and split-second timing. Dongmin paced nearby, unable to hide his worry. This is madness. 2 against 1 has never been done in tournament history. There are many things that have never been done, Mirai replied. Until someone does them. G1 clutched her datapad tightly. I have analyzed every possible combination of their attacks. The mathematical probability of victory is less than 8%. Mathematics do not fight, Mirai said. People do. The call came for the fighters to enter the arena. Razor Fang emerged first from the competitor's tunnel. He was massive even for a Vorthak. His dark red scales looked like armor plating. Spikes ran along his spine and arms. When he roared, the sound echoed through the entire station. Swift Death came next. She moved like liquid lightning, never staying in one place for more than a heartbeat. Her forearms ended in claws that had been sharpened to razor points. Silver markings covered her insect-like body. The crowd cheered loudly for both fighters. These were proven warriors representing proud species. They were the galaxy's answer to the human problem. Then Mirai walked into the arena. The contrast was shocking. She looked tiny compared to her opponents. Razorfang could probably step on her. Swift Death could cut her apart in seconds. The betting displays around the arena showed odds of 50-1 against the human. "This is not a fight," called out an alien in the crowd. "This is an execution." "Finally, we will see the limits of human luck," said another. "Two real warriors will end this embarrassment," declared a third. But not all voices were hostile. Whisper the Nethys had managed to get close to the arena floor. "Fight well, small human," he called out. "Show them what thinking can accomplish." A few other aliens nodded in agreement. Mirai had gained some supporters during her run through the tournament. They were vastly outnumbered, but they were there. The tournament official raised his hand for silence. This special semi-final match will determine who advances to face Grakthor for the championship. The rules remain the same. Victory by surrender, unconsciousness, or inability to continue. He looked directly at Mirai. "Fighter, are you prepared for this challenge?" "I am ready," she replied simply. The official's hand dropped. "Begin." Razorfang charged immediately. His plan was to corner Mirai against the arena wall while Swift Death attacked from the sides. It was a sound strategy that should have worked perfectly, but Mirai did not retreat toward the wall. Instead, she ran directly toward Razorfang. This surprised both opponents. They had expected her to try to avoid them, not engage them. At the last second, Mirai dropped into a slide that took her between Razorfang's legs. As she passed underneath him, she struck the back of his knee with her elbow. The big warrior stumbled forward, off balance. Swift Death had been moving to intercept Mirai's expected retreat. Now she found herself directly in front of the charging Razorfang. They collided with a tremendous crash. Both fighters went down in a tangle of limbs and claws. The crowd gasped. In the first 10 seconds of the fight, the human had turned her opponent's coordination against them. Razorfang and Swift Death separated quickly and got back to their feet. They were embarrassed and angry. This was not how the fight was supposed to go. "Careful!" Swift Death buzzed. "She is more dangerous than we thought." They spread out, taking positions on opposite sides of Mirai. Now she could not attack one without exposing herself to the other. It was a classic pincer movement. Razorfang attacked from the left while Swift Death struck from the right. Their timing was perfect. There seemed to be no way for Mirai to avoid both attacks, but she did not try to avoid them. Instead, she leaped straight up at the exact moment when both opponents committed to their strikes. Razorfang's charge and Swift Death's claws passed harmlessly beneath her. As she came down, Mirai landed on Razorfang's broad back. She immediately grabbed two of Swift Death's extended arms and used them to swing the Zilani around in a circle. Swift Death's own momentum carried her into Razorfang again. The crowd was on its feet now. This was not the easy victory they had expected to see. "Impossible," shouted Grakthor from the champion's viewing area. "How is she doing this?" "She is using their attacks to create her own opportunities," observed an elderly Kronak. "I have never seen anything like it." The fight continued for 20 minutes. Every time Razorfang and Swift Death thought they had Mirai trapped, she found a way to escape. Worse, she kept making them interfere with each other's attacks. Both opponents were getting frustrated and tired. Fighting someone who was never where you expected them to be was exhausting. They began to make mistakes born of anger and fatigue. Finally, Mirai saw her chance. Razorfang had committed to another charging attack. Swift Death was approaching from behind to cut off Mirai's escape. But this time, instead of moving aside, Mirai grabbed the chain that marked the arena boundary. She swung herself up and over Razorfang's head, using the chain like a rope. As she passed overhead, she kicked Swift Death in the head with both feet. The Zilani crashed to the ground, stunned. Razorfang could not stop his charge. He slammed into the arena wall with tremendous force. The impact shook dust from the ceiling. He slumped to the ground unconscious. Swift Death tried to get up but collapsed again. She was too dazed to continue fighting. "Winner Mirai of Earth," the announcer said in a shocked voice. The arena fell completely silent. Thousands of aliens stared in disbelief. The impossible had happened again. One small human had defeated two of the galaxy's finest warriors at the same time. Then the silence broke. But instead of cheers, angry voices filled the air. "This is wrong," screamed a Vorthak in the crowd. "She cannot be allowed to continue," shouted a Zelani. "Humans do not belong here," roared a Kronak. The crowd's anger grew like a spreading fire. Aliens began standing up, shaking their fists and demanding action. What had started as a sporting event was becoming something much darker. Mirai helped Swift Death to her feet. The Zelani warrior looked at her with a mixture of respect and confusion. "How?" Swift Death asked simply. "Practice," Mirai replied. "And thinking ahead. You fight like no one I have ever seen. Your species, they are all like this? We all learn to adapt, to use what we have instead of wishing for what we do not have." Swift Death nodded slowly. "Perhaps we have underestimated humans." But the crowd's mood was growing more dangerous by the moment. Aliens were pushing toward the arena barriers. Security forces moved to maintain order, but they seemed uncertain about what to do. "Enough!" The voice boomed across the arena. Grakthor had stepped forward in the champion's area. His massive form dominated the space around him. "This mockery ends now," he declared. "I do not care what the rules say. I will not allow a soft skin to challenge me for the championship." The crowd roared its approval. Finally, someone was saying what they all felt. "The tournament has rules," called out the head official weakly. "Rules can be changed again," Grakthor snarled, "or ignored entirely." More aliens began climbing over the barriers. They dropped down into the arena from all sides. Vorthak, Zelani, Kronak, and others, all moving toward the center where Mirai stood alone. "This has gone too far," Whisper said from his position near the arena. Someone must stop this, but no one moved to help. The security forces were overwhelmed. The officials were paralyzed by the crowd's anger. Even the other competitors seemed frozen by the sudden violence. Dongmin and Jiwan watched in horror from the stands. "We have to do something," Jiwan said. "What can we do?" Dongmin replied. "There are thousands of them and 3 of us." In the arena, Mirai found herself surrounded by dozens of hostile aliens. They formed a tight circle around her, their eyes full of rage and hatred. "You do not belong here. Human," one growled. "Your kind should never have left your little world," said another. "Time to learn your place," declared a third. Mirai stood in the center of the closing circle. She was no longer in a tournament match with rules and referees. This was something else entirely. This was a test of whether humans had the right to exist as equals in the galaxy. She looked at the faces surrounding her. Aliens who had been content to mock her were now ready to destroy her. All because she had proven that size and strength were not the only paths to victory. "I came here to compete," she said calmly, "to represent my species in fair combat. If that is not acceptable to you, then show me what you consider acceptable." The circle tightened, claws extended, teeth bared, muscles tensed for attack. "You want to see what humans can really do?" Mirai asked quietly. "Very well." Her voice carried clearly through the arena despite its softness. Every alien heard her words. Many would remember them for the rest of their lives. But know this. I did not start this, you did, and when this is over, when the galaxy sees what happens here today, remember that this was your choice. The first alien lunged forward, then another, then all of them at once. The breaking point had been reached. Everything that happened next would change What happened next would be talked about throughout the galaxy for generations. In the span of less than 3 minutes, everything the aliens thought they knew about humans was proven completely wrong. The first wave of attackers came from all directions. 12 aliens moved as one, expecting to overwhelm the single human through sheer numbers. Vorthak claws, Selani speed, Kronak strength, all focused on one target. But Mirai was no longer the same fighter who had entered the tournament. The attacks, the conspiracy, the hatred she had faced had awakened something deeper, not anger, but a cold clarity that turned her into something the aliens had never encountered. A human being fighting for survival. She moved through the first wave like water flowing around rocks. But this time the water had teeth. The lead Vorthak reached her first, massive claws extended to crush her skull. Mirai stepped inside his reach and struck his throat with the edge of her hand. The blow was perfectly placed and devastatingly precise. The Vorthak warrior dropped instantly, gasping for air that would not come. A Zelani attacked from her left, 4 arms moving in a blur of cutting edges. Mirai caught one arm. used it to spin the attacker around and drove her elbow into the base of the Zelani's skull. The insect-like warrior collapsed without a sound. 2 Kronak came from her right, roaring battle cries and swinging their massive fists. Mirai dropped low, swept the legs of the first, and as he fell forward she redirected his momentum to send him crashing into his companion. Both went down hard and stayed down. The watching aliens could not believe what they were seeing. The human was not just defending herself. She was dismantling trained warriors with surgical precision. "Impossible," breathed Grakthor. "No single being can move like that." But Mirai was just getting started. The second wave of attackers hesitated after seeing their companions fall. This hesitation was fatal. It gave Mirai the split second she needed to position herself perfectly for what came next. When they finally attacked, she was ready. An alien with tentacles for arms tried to wrap her up. She grabbed 2 tentacles, spun around, and used the creature's own limbs to bind it helplessly. A kick to its center of mass sent it rolling across the arena floor. A flying creature swooped down from above, expecting to attack from an angle she could not defend. Mirai leaped up to meet it, caught its wing, and used its own flight speed to slam it into the ground with bone-breaking force. 3 more Vorthak charged together, thinking their combined mass would be unstoppable. Mirai waited until the last possible moment, then dove between the legs of the center attacker. As she rolled to her feet behind them, she struck pressure points on each of their spines in rapid succession. All 3 collapsed as their nervous systems shut down. The crowd had gone completely silent. The only sounds were the groans of the defeated and the soft impacts of Mirai's movements. "She is not human," whispered someone in the stands. "She cannot be natural," said another voice, but the Nethys understood what they were seeing. "She is completely human," he said quietly. "This is what they become when they have no choice but to win." The remaining attackers in the arena were backing away now. What had seemed like easy prey had turned into their worst nightmare, but there was no escape. The crowd blocked every exit, and their own pride would not let them flee. "All together," roared a Vorthak leader. "She cannot defeat all of us at once." 20 aliens rushed her simultaneously. It should have been impossible for anyone to handle so many opponents, but they were thinking like aliens, not like humans. Humans had learned long ago how to turn chaos into advantage. Mirai did not try to fight 20 opponents. Instead, she made 20 opponents fight each other. She moved constantly, never staying in one place for more than a heartbeat. When 2 aliens converged on her position, she was already gone, and they crashed into each other instead. When someone tried to grab her, she used their grip to swing herself around and kick someone else. Every move she made created more confusion among her attackers. They began striking each other in their desperation to reach her. Their superior numbers became a disadvantage as they got in each other's way. One by one, they fell. Some to her precise strikes, others to the friendly fire created by their own chaotic attacks. Within 90 seconds, all 20 lay motionless on the arena floor. Mirai stood in the center of the carnage, breathing steadily but not even winded. She had just defeated nearly 40 alien warriors, many of them trained fighters, and she looked like she could do it again. The entire arena was dead silent. Thousands of aliens stared in absolute shock at the small human woman surrounded by their fallen champions. Finally, Grakthor himself leaped down into the arena. The Vorthak champion was twice Mirai's height, and outweighed her by hundreds of pounds. His scales were like armor. His claws could tear through steel. "You think you have won something here, human?" he snarled. "I am the champion of this tournament. I have never been defeated. Your luck ends now." Mirai looked up at the massive warrior calmly. "I did not come here to fight you outside the tournament," she said. "But if you insist, I will finish what they started." Grakthor attacked with all the fury and skill that had made him champion. His movements were perfectly coordinated. His strikes were devastatingly powerful. He was everything a Vorthak warrior was supposed to be. It was not enough. Mirai fought him with the same cold efficiency she had shown against all the others. She was faster than his massive limbs could follow. She was more precise than his brutal attacks could match. Most importantly, she was calmer than his rage could overcome. The fight lasted exactly 47 seconds. When it ended, Grakthor lay unconscious on the arena floor, brought down by a human woman half his size who had made his strength irrelevant through superior skill and tactics. Mirai stood over the fallen champion and looked up at the silent crowd. Her voice carried clearly through the arena's perfect acoustics. I came here to compete in a tournament, she said, to represent my species with honor and skill. You decided that was not acceptable. You chose to attack me with overwhelming numbers because one human winning fights fairly was too much for your pride to handle. She gestured at the fallen warriors around her. This is the result of your choice. Every being lying here chose to attack someone who had done nothing but win within the rules you created. They fell not because I am superhuman, but because they underestimated what any human can become when survival is at stake. The silence stretched on. No alien in the crowd could find words to respond. My species is new to the galaxy, Mirai continued. We are small and soft and lack the natural weapons you were born with. But we have something else. We have the ability to adapt, to learn, to become more than we were when circumstances demand it. She began walking toward the arena exit. You can accept us as equals, or you can continue to see us as threats to your assumed superiority. But you cannot ignore us, and you cannot defeat us through force alone. Today proved that. As she reached the exit, she turned back one final time. The tournament officials will have to decide what happens next. But understand this. What you saw here today was not the limit of human capability. It was just the beginning of your education about what we can do when we have to. Mirai disappeared into the tunnel, leaving behind an arena full of defeated warriors and a crowd of aliens who would never again assume that humans were harmless. The galaxy had learned a new truth. Humanity had earned its place among the stars not through conquest or intimidation, but through the simple demonstration that they would not be dismissed or destroyed by those who considered themselves superior. The tournament was over. The real competition for the future of human-alien relations had just begun, and everyone now knew that humans would not be easy opponents in that larger contest. In the days that followed, recordings of the fight spread throughout known space. Every species, every world, every government saw what had happened on Nexus Prime. The small human woman who had defeated dozens of warriors in minutes became a symbol. Some aliens saw her as a threat to be eliminated. Others viewed her as proof that all species had value regardless of size or natural weapons. A few understood that she represented something new in the galaxy, a species that could not be defined by their apparent limitations. Mirai returned to Earth as the unofficial champion of the tournament that had ended in chaos. But more importantly, she returned as the human who had shown the galaxy that her species belonged among the stars. The universe was a bigger place now, and humanity had proven they were ready for it.